Morning, everyone. Welcome to SportsbookReview.com. This is March into Madness, and this is going to be an absolute runaway train of a show. I've got Dr. Donnie, I've got Dr. Maxwell Smart. We're going to have a tiny review. We're going to have a little bit of a look at the hot topics, and then there's 22 games to get through. So, good morning, gentlemen. Donnie, good night or bad night last night?
Okay night, but I got to tell you, Flash, my theme of the day today is number one, get UVA out of here. We don't want to see them play again, even though I did pick up some money betting against them last night. But also, Flash, there's two halves of basketball. Some of my team totals forgot after 20 minutes to show up in the second half.
Yeah, very conservative, some of the teams last night. I think it was all about the W, but you're not having that, Max.
No, I think that it's really you have to base it on what you see throughout the game. If a team falls behind and has to come back, that's a negative in my books. If a team leads wire to wire, that's a positive in my book. You have to just look at it from a simple view and through a simple lens. But I am wearing the Virginia shirt in honor of Donnie's victory on Notre Dame yesterday. Let's shout Donnie out on that. That was a beautiful call, and I always tip my hat when I see a quality capper like Donnie make such a nice call on a game where a lot of people were on Virginia. A lot of people I know were on Virginia.
Love the positivity early on. I've got to also give myself a little pat on the back just because my boys, Maryland and LSU, scruffy wins, but they get the W anyway. Let's kick off. Dayton flex their muscles, 81-67, and the game had 7 technicals, Donnie.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a little bit of hint in college basketball. If you're a coach and you're looking to go on the road and steal a big road victory, you don't want to say, you know what, guys, we're going to face adversity in this game. Why don't we get down about 20 points to start the game and try to battle back? That doesn't work. Fats Russell had 2 fouls early in the game, didn't play most of the first half, comes back in the second half, bumps heads with the guy on Dayton, sits out another 6 to 7 minutes. This game was a runaway. I thought Rhode Island would be able to get inside the number, but nobody's getting inside the number, getting down 17-0 in the first 5 minutes, Flash.
Yeah, Dayton were different class, to be honest. But listen, the biggest one for me was Kentucky. 9 down at the half against Vandy. I thought Vandy were going to do exactly what they did to LSU, Max. And I tell you, Kentucky, they look all right to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought that when you got the combination of Nick Richards and E.J. Montgomery on the court together, you saw the defensive outposts that they could be together. I thought that you got great guard play from Manuel Quickly and Ashton Higgins once again. And the fact was, Kentucky played with fire, and I think John Cal got into them at halftime, and we saw what happened. They came out, and like I say often, college basketball is a tale of 2 halves. It's 2 games within one. This was clearly one of those situations.
Another side who impressed, and I enjoyed watching it, even though I thought Purdue would be dangerous, was Penn State, Donnie. Penn are now starting to find their feet, and they're showing a little bit of confidence.
How about yesterday? We're talking about in the Big Ten how hard it is to win on the road. Those road wins are rare, and Penn State comes up with a gem. And Stevens even picked up 2 quick fouls in the first half, and still Penn State went wire to wire. Penn State, now a basketball school, Flash.
That's what they're saying. It's return of the old historians, the big guns from yesteryear, and now starting to be a force again, Max. Central Michigan shoots 47% three-pointers. That's some shooting, that.
I was watching this game, Flash, and I was like, damn, this over's not going to hit. This over's not going to hit. Well, thank you, Central Michigan, for that 3-point barrage at the end of the game. Eastern Michigan, I was glad that you were able to do your part. And you know what? Donnie called it earlier, said that number looked a little too big for Central Michigan. And I'm just glad that I was able to hit the over. And listen, when you got a hot 3-point shooting team, sometimes it inspires your opponent to match that pace and tempo and that scoring pace.
Okay, going to move straight on to the hot topics. And UNC, that was a massive hangover when they went to Wake Forest. Donnie.
Yeah, I mean, could we see the writing on the wall? You see 2 teams heading in opposite directions. Duke takes that game as a springboard and beats a top 10 team in Florida State on Monday night. And what does UNC do? Saying, you know what? Our season's probably over. And they lay a clunker, especially in the first half versus Wake Forest. Made a little bit of a run at the end to get it within 10 points. But this is not the UNC team that we're used to. Good for the future. They got a couple McDonald's All-Americans coming in. This isn't even an NIT team at this point to me, Flash.
Max, Oklahoma versus Iowa State. No Halliburton for the Cyclones. Do we go with total or side?
Yeah, this is a spot where I think that there's going to be value on the under in this spot. Tyrese Halliburton is a rare form of a point guard in Division I basketball this year. This is a guy that will give you 16, 6, and 6, which is very rare. I think that missing him, especially in the first game, is going to play a major factor on how this Iowa State offense runs and operates. I look for Oklahoma to shut them down, lock them down, and I think both these teams struggle to get to 60. I'm looking at this under, and I'm looking at the additional total to sell a couple points as well.
Max, we've got Michigan, Florida, Houston and Louisville on the road. Can we get any of them beat? Is there any value on the dogs?
Well, already we're seeing line movement that would indicate that Houston and Louisville could be on upset alert tonight. We've already seen a 1.5 movement at some spots that I place my bets with. But when I look at Florida, that's the team that I think should be on upset alert tonight by my power ratings. I think Florida State is a big favorite at 5.5 at Texas A&M. I would have had this game closer to 1.5 to 2 with Florida's recent performances. I think Florida on the road is a significantly weaker team. I think that if Texas A&M can find any significant amount of three-point buckets tonight, they're going to be able to walk out with a home win.
Donnie, Houston Baptist is 163 total tonight. How does that go over? Looking at the under, it screams. There's an alert going on. Houston Baptist under 163.
You know, it's an interesting game because when you look at Houston Baptist, we know the tempo out there and how fast they go. But when you need a total to hit, you need both teams to participate. Do we think Houston Baptist tempo will be there? The problem is you're going up against the number one scoring defense in the conference, the most efficient defense in the conference in Abilene Christian. This number dropped, actually, I believe opened up. I was looking offshore around 167 and down to 163. I agree with that line movement. I think it stays under because I think one team is actually going to play a semblance of defense in this game, Flash.
Yeah, I'm thinking Houston have got to put up at least 75 points to us. Get anywhere near that. I'm thinking 163, we go under. If you've got 167, wow, you sit back, light that up at that cigar and just puff away. Max, UConn Huskies are back in action. Don't cry with any tears. Do UConn win?
Listen, you guys know how I feel about my UConn Huskies. This is a team that definitely is playing so much better with the addition of James Bouknight to the starting lineup. I think that this guy is a solid foundation piece that is going to just elevate throughout the next month and a half of the season. I look for UConn to go on the road again and get a win against SMU tonight. I'm looking to see if that number hits 5, and if it hits 5, I'm jumping on UConn full game.
Well, you would do because you're going with your heart and not your head. You know they get beat, and there'll be more tears in the Maxwell Smart household. Donnie, any home underdogs that we can get our teeth into tonight that's plenty value?
Yeah, looking early here. One team. I mean, hey, I like to sit in the city of brotherly love, just outside the city I am. Those Temple Owls going down to play Tulane. Temple Lane -3 on the road versus Tulane. If Tulane can play a little bit of tempo, get some of those three-point shots to go down. We know the struggles that Temple's had on the road. And also, let's not forget college kids. Big comeback on Saturday. Oh, my goodness. We're going to go into a sleepier environment down in New Orleans and play this basketball game. I think Tulane might be a decent shot looking for a home dog tonight. It's a short home dog tonight for us, Flash.
Yeah, we're just going to go straight into the card now, and I'm looking in them. Max is too biased with UConn, they're saying there from Jansen. Matty Randall's in there. He said that Michigan State wouldn't get beat. They certainly didn't. They got a W, but they didn't cover because my Illinois had 2.5 points and only got beat by the 1. Give us a like. We've got 117 in there, only 23 likes. Give us a thumbs up, and here we go. Creighton getting 6 versus Seton Hall, Max.
Yeah, this is a spot where I think that Creighton has shown that they can play on the road, and we've seen from Seton Hall, while they do have one of the most dominant players in the nation, they are a real second-half quality team. This is a team that has shown game after game that they bring their best performance in the second half. I look at Creighton by my numbers of having a 4-point advantage in the first half. I would be looking to make a play on Creighton first half and then making a play Seton Hall second half live.
Well, there'll be some value in that. Then, Donnie, we're going to go Xavier Butler, and Butler are going to have to give up 5.
Yeah, when you take a look at this game, I mean, just on the outset, Xavier 3 straight wins. If you look at Butler, drop 2 of 3. It's basically Kamir Baldwin. How he goes, the team's going to go for Butler at this point. I don't really know if I'm going to dip into this game and have a strong feature, so I know we have a lot of cards on this one. I'll pass on this one altogether, Flash.
Yeah, and if you're in the chat and you want to give us some tips as well, then obviously give us your plays because, Max, Donnie, they've got 22 games to go through. It's a team game. We've got an hour to get through them. Max, do you like Butler giving up the 5?
I actually think that Xavier probably has a little bit of value at this point. We're seeing the line continue to rise up. I'm on standby mode with this game, but where I see the value is more in the total. We've seen Butler really be able to stay under this type of number at home and on the road. And Xavier, they're going to try and really use their perceived advantage with the size that they have with Jason Carter, Zach Fremantle, and Najee Marshall to their advantage. I think that's going to come down to what kind of point guard play and what kind of production you get out of point guard Paul Scruggs. This is a guy that plays a lot of minutes, handles the ball a lot, but hasn't been efficient enough to my liking for an upperclassman this season. I think that when you look at this, I think that probably the safer spot is to wait till that number stops moving up and then hit the under, because I have this game not going over 130.
So you go under 130, or are you just thinking it's 130 is a good number?
130 is a good number, and I think that I wait till the line stops moving and then I play whatever it's at on the under.
Okay, cracking game coming up next, Donnie. Then it's Kansas versus West Virginia. Pinnacle are giving Kansas +2. Everyone else is 1.5. Is that tempting you for Kansas?
I mean, it's always going to be tempting for Kansas. When we take a look at, how teams' moxies are on the road, Kansas, one road loss. And, it was to Villanova early in the season by 1 point on the road. But then we take a look at West Virginia, unbeaten at home, always a tough place, a sellout crowd anticipated tonight in Morgantown. The thing that we like about this, West Virginia, we know is going to pressure. They're going to be up-tempo. They're going to try to get after you on defense. But Kansas obviously doesn't turn the basketball over. One of the few keys that we like to take a look at, what you do well. Kansas does everything well on defense. They have extreme size. But I think West Virginia has enough here. And we also saw some of these line movements go from +1 to -1, depending where you're shopping at. I think West Virginia gets it done tonight. I'm going to go with that sold-out crowd at home, a big, huge environment in this one. Give me West Virginia in this game.
Max, are you surprised how well Kansas have bounced back since half their players were dancing with the crowd and the marshals and that?
Well, to be quite frank, it wasn't really any impact players. If it was Azubuike and Dotson going into the stands and fighting people, then definitely that would have played a larger impact. But you still have one of the best on-ball defenders in Marcus Garrett. You still have Ochachi Abaji, the shooting guard. He's a fantastic inside-out player, can really get to the bucket. But like Donnie alluded to, the defense is going to play front and center in this game, and that's the way that I'm looking at it. I see this game as a game that goes under 136. I'll make an official play for the show on that. These two teams, they've gone under, whether it be on the road, whether it be at home, whether it be at conference. Combined, they've gone under in 6 out of 20 games. They've gone under 14 out of 20 games in conference. Kansas has yet to play an over on the road, and a lot of their line games have been in this point range. So by my power ratings, there's value on the 136, and I'll take it and make it an official play.
Yeah, we like official plays early, and this is the other thing that I don't understand about the rankings, that you've got Kansas ranked 3, West Virginia ranked 13, and yet West Virginia, they're the favourites. I expect both. Majority want to be with West Virginia. Next game's a cracker. Alabama going to Auburn. Auburn 7.5, and they were impressive last week, Donnie.
Yeah, taking a look at your rivalry game, we see it in football, Auburn, Alabama, not really on that same level, obviously, down in the state for this basketball game. But when you take a look at both of these teams, obviously Alabama snapping a losing streak. Auburn hasn't lost at home. Line goes from 6.5 to 7.5. And I got to tell you, look, the close proximity, it's a rivalry game. I understand it. I just think Auburn is the better overall team in this game, hasn't lost at home. If they're going to win this game, you're probably thinking they're going to win by margin. I don't see a 2 or 3 point victory here. I think Auburn wins, and possibly by double digits in this one. Give me the cover with Auburn here, Flash.
Auburn cover, Max, 7.5 was 6 for the early birds. Do you think that worm is going to be tasty?
I think that line's going to continue to rise. So if you're looking at the Alabama side, you're definitely going to be waiting on that movement. The reality is this is a huge revenge spot. This is a huge home atmosphere advantage for Auburn. What is Auburn going to do? Auburn's going to have some of their players from last year, including Bryce Brown, back in the lineup. So I expect a big game from Javon McCormick and Samir Dowdy. these are the guys that are compared to Bryce Brown and Jared Harper. They don't like that comparison. They definitely want to stand out and show why they're not like that. From a side perspective, I definitely think that Auburn's the side. I would be more looking at Auburn first half. A real good telltale of this rivalry of this series has been teams have gone wire to wire. I look at Auburn first half, not an official play, but I will be making an official play on the total as soon as the line stops moving up. I don't think this game sees 160. So any kind of value that I can get over that is going to be an official play later on my Twitter page.
So you'll be looking to give up maybe 3.5, 4 points first half on Auburn. This next game, Georgia hosting Louisville. Georgia getting 6, but Georgia have given up 2 20-point-plus leads. So surely Georgia money line first half must be some value in there, Donnie.
If we take a look at this game, because I actually like to, instead of looking at the side here, which I do think it's going to be a moderately close game here. I think Louisville, obviously the better team, 12-1 overall in conference. Their only one true loss on the road was the overtime to Kentucky. But then we take a look at Georgia Tech. They've actually really been competitive in ACC play. But the thing I like here, looking at the total of 137, I actually think this plays more to an under. And the reason being is I like to talk about styles make fights here. You're talking about one team, giving up the 3-point shot. Georgia Tech, 13th in conference, 26% coming in. And then you take a look at Louisville, 3rd overall in points. So also when you take a look at inside the arc scoring, Louisville is, look, there's 15 teams in ACC. Louisville is dead last inside the arc at scoring when that's the way you could possibly get after Georgia Tech. And then we flip it over to Georgia Tech's offense versus Louisville's. And look, 60% of the points that Georgia Tech scores are from inside the 3-point arc. You know who's really good at defending? Louisville inside. I think both of these teams can't take advantage of each other in the spots they want to. That lends me to believe it's an under. Give me the under, Flash, 137 in this game.
And if it's under, then you've got to be going with the +6, Max.
Well, I think that the line definitely is moving the right way. I think that Georgia Tech at home has shown that they can really stay within a team that plays, like Donnie said, a different kind of tempo. I think that the key for Georgia Tech, if they want to stay within the number tonight, is to do a good job on the glass, really do a good job of help defending on Jordan Nwora, forcing him to the baseline, forcing him into awkward spots on the court. With this Louisville team, sometimes you can't really trust them to score. I think that over the last 5 games, they've done a better job. They have been lighting it up in first halves. That gives me a little bit of reservations about jumping on the points, but I got to watch this line a little more, do a little more research before I give anything official, so nothing for me.
Okay, and what about Marquette versus Villanova? Villanova giving up 5, Max. The home side, you expect them to win?
Yeah, I made an official play on this game on my Twitter page. I actually took Marquette and Villanova under. What have I seen from Marquette on the road? What was the total, Max? That they can really.
You went under. What was the total?
It was under 146 and minus 107.
Okay, nice.
So I got a little bit of a win on the line move, but that doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things when it comes down to it. I think that Villanova definitely is going to want to emphasize stopping the 3-point barrage from Marcus Howard and Kobe McEwen, because we've seen that they don't have cold blood in their veins when it comes to hoisting those up. I think that Villanova, it's going to be the same thing for Marquette. Marquette's going to have to play good 3-point defense on Villanova, because what does Villanova want to do? They want to shoot the basketball. I think that there is going to be a size advantage or a front court scoring advantage for Villanova. But Jace Johnson's really come on as of late. If he continues to get more minutes, I think that he's going to show some of what he was able to at Utah. This is a game where I don't really have a good feel on the side, but by the numbers, I don't have this game going over 142. So at 146 with 4 points of value, it's worth a play.
Donnie, I'm happy to see in the chat that someone's just said, Marquette struggle on the road. I thought this could be a play of the day, Villanova -5.
I like Villanova here. I think it's a great spot for me. Take a look. And sometimes when you cap these games, you're looking over a volume and say, wait a second here. Villanova actually lost 3 straight games. Let me hit my refresh browser because that doesn't seem to be the norm. Coming in hot as Marquette, yes. But again, when you take a look, Max brought up a great point here. What does Marquette want to do? Barrage you from 3-point range. Who's the number 1 volume shooting team on offense in the Big East? It is Marquette. And then when you take a look at defense, who chases you off the 3-point line more than anybody in conference? It's Villanova. When you look at Villanova, they gave up 60% of the points from inside the arc. That's not where Marquette can beat you. I think Villanova comes up with a really strong defensive effort. They need this game. It'll be electric atmosphere in Philadelphia. They win and cover. And I think Max is right here. I think we stay under the total as well.
Yeah, Villanova and the under could basically go with the both. 2 worms there for us to feast on. Now, road team giving up 5.5. Houston going to South Florida, Donnie.
Yeah, when we take a look at this basketball game, it's sometimes styles make fights here. When you talk about South Florida, it's nice to get the big man back, 7-foot Michael Durr. He's going to make an impact, but dude, I just like this Houston team. And even though South Florida, obviously most teams do play better at home than they do on the road, I think Houston is built to go on the road and play in this type of an environment. Not so much that the crowd is going to be electric, but the 2 teams are going to get physical. Houston, I think, is going to make its play here and certainly ascend into conference tournament play. I don't have an official play in this one, but I can only look Houston here, Flash.
Any official for you, Max? And we haven't got an official play from Donnie. He's sitting on the fence. He's having splinters. He's on that fence that much. Come on, Max. Give me something. I can't hear Max. Max, why did you mute yourself? Stop with that whistling of the nose.
I was nose whistling, so I wanted to.
But normally when you nose whistle, that's like preempting us that we're going to get an official play. So get that nose whistle out.
You are going to get an official play, absolutely.
Come on then.
Flash. When I look at this USF Houston total, 126.5 seems like a generous number. If you could line shop for the best number that you can find on SBR Sportsbook review, I think that. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked there. When I look at this Houston team, it's simply put like this. They're going to shut you down on defense, on offense. They're going to limit your 3-point shot attempts. They're going to close out without fouling. They have great length with DeJon Jarreau and Nate Hinton at the guard positions. Throw in Fabian White. You have a really good core of guys that have played together, won together. This is a situational spot where they have to be on red alert. And I think that, like Donnie said, this is going to be a battle of different kinds of tempos. I think that Houston does a great job on the offensive glass. I think that they limit USF's opportunities, which is what they want to do with a guy like Michael Durr. Too bad they don't have Alexis yet, and that would make this game a lot more winnable for USF. But from a total perspective, I think that Houston's able to take care of the ball, force USF into turnovers, limit USF's ability to pressure the ball handlers and trap in the half court. I think that when it comes to rim protection, USF's going to have a lot more trouble because when it comes to Houston's ball movement, they're going to be able to get it from side to side with a lot more efficiency. I think USF's going to struggle to get to 50 points in this game, and I think that Houston wins this by double digits. So give me under 126 if that's the best line that's out there.
Well, it's funny because you say Houston minus 5.5 on the road. I've got here, what were you saying? 66-52. That's 14 points. So we'll go with Houston minus 5.5. We'll put a star there. And then also, we'll have a little bit of the under 126. Donnie?
Which game are we actually on here on this one?
This is Houston and South Florida. And we're going with Houston minus 5.5. And we're going to go with the under 126.
Yeah, it sounds about right. It's the same thing I talked about at the beginning. Look, Houston is going to be able to rock them and sock them in this basketball game. I don't see a lot of points. I don't see a huge amount of tempo. And again, I still lean towards Houston in this situation. They're the better basketball team. They know this style of play. It's not going to catch up and say, oh, my God, it's really physical out here, Flash. This is what they do.
Yeah, well, because obviously Max was so bullish and he went with the minus 5.5, thinks they'll win double digits, and he thinks it'll be under 126. I thought that I might get you off that fence and say that might be one of your plays of the day, but you wait. I know you've got something special for me. Let's go into the majors and UConn +5 at SMU. Max, you sit yourself down. Donnie, will it be tears for Max?
I don't think it's going to be tears for Max in this game. When you take a look at SMU, especially in conference, they are an elite offensive squad. But again, it's what they want to do. If you watch the game in Philadelphia on Saturday versus Temple's going to let you shoot the three-point shot. That's not what UConn's going to do. If you shoot 49% of your total shots from three-point range, right? Tops in the conference. Do you know who's tops in the conference and saying, you're not shooting three-pointers tonight? It is UConn. So then you say, all right, how do we counterbalance this? The worst team in conference inside the arc at scoring is who? SMU. Do you know who the best team at defending inside the arc in conference is, Flash? It's UConn. So you say, all right, how about the third option? Let's get to the free throw line and shoot foul shots. They are terrible at getting to the line, SMU. Why? Because they want to chuck it from three. If those three-pointers aren't falling at an elite level tonight, UConn can steal this and get the outright winner here, Flash.
Max, that's music to your ears. UConn actually getting the W, but you're getting 5 points as well. Which way do you go? Do you go money line or do you go to take the points?
No, I take the points for the show, but you can goddamn guarantee I'll be on the money line. I'll be eating chicken tenders with honey, and I'll be sipping on a bourbon while I watch that game.
Okay, and obviously you'll have the tissues just beside you to mop away the tears when SMU put up their best performance of the season. Okay, someone who didn't put up their best performance of the season over the weekend was Rutgers. They were filthy. And now they go to Ohio State. And Ohio State are giving up 5.5. Max.
Yeah, my numbers really like Ohio State on the first half here. I think that this is a game where I think it stays under as well. I think that when you look at Rutgers, what they've done on the road in conference, it's plain to see that this team has trouble getting up and down the floor, scoring the basketball consistently. I think that when you look at the Illinois game, you look at the Maryland game, they struggle to get over 50 points. That is a telltale sign. I think that with Ohio State, coming off a very bad loss at Wisconsin where they just could not make a shot, I think that that's going to be a real rebound performance. Situationally, this is a spot where you take Ohio State early and then you evaluate at halftime. From my numbers, what I think that the biggest edge is on the under full game with Ohio State, first half being a complimentary play.
5.5 seems a bit skinny to me. I'm thinking that they absolutely blow Rutgers away and Rutgers are now their feet up, remote controlling around, and they're just watching telly, Donnie.
Yeah, when you look at this game, I mean, Ohio State is one of the ultimate Jekyll and Hyde teams in the country. You look at all the talent they have and say, why can't they just put it together? But also a secondary look in this game. When you look at Rutgers here, they have their eyes on the prize, meaning let's finally get to the big dance. Let's turn Rutgers into an actual athletic school as opposed to an embarrassment here, which they can do. But the problem I'm having here is, yes, Max brings up a great point. 1-4 in the Big Ten on the road this year. But I think their pathway to getting into the tournament is, all right, let's put on a decent show on the road, but let's make sure we take care of our home games, maybe win a game or two in the Big Ten, and we're going to make it into the tournament. This is a game Ohio State should win. They should have being on the road because, again, just playing off instead of looking just at stone-cold numbers and what makes sense here, I think Rutgers figured it out and says, let's just win at home, be competent on the road, which points to an Ohio State victory, which I like Max's look even better. If you're having a Jekyll and Hyde team, if you can't get it together, if Ohio State is not covering in the first half, they're probably going to lose the game. So it's a good look to take them first half here. I agree with Max.
Yeah, we're getting into a bit of a system here. There's plenty unders, and I'm wondering if that's because the teams are not matched up right, or they're just going conservative and they're interested in is the W. Now, we've got Temple, road favourites, -3, going to Tulane. Donnie, I'll start with you. Looks like a bit of a pick-em to me.
It's an interesting one because I do think Tulane is going to be live in this game, and it's not really so much about what Tulane does because Tulane doesn't do a lot of things really well. But sometimes when you're a bad basketball team, you can get up off the carpet and say, you know what, guys, this is the one game that we can actually win, and it's a perfect storm environment because Temple, they're not going to March Madness. You know, they might have had the win of the year. You know, they beat Wichita State at home and then come back on Saturday with a huge victory, down 17 points that they have, shoot the lights out. That's probably not going to be the case, and we've seen time and time again Temple going on the road and throwing a clunker here. This is one that Tulane can actually do some damage to Temple's defense. If you're going to give me the points, look, you're asking Temple to go on the road in conference play and get a win. Can they do it? I mean, sure they can, but this is a spot where I think Tulane actually is going to be live, the +3. I would recommend also taking it on the money money line. Not to say Temple is not a talented team, and maybe Devondre Perry comes back in this game and J.P. Moorman as well to help out. But this is a game that you look at Temple and say, you know what? These are the type of games that Temple loses. I like Tulane in this one, +3.
Well, Donnie, when I said get off the fence, I didn't mean absolutely leap off. You've gone from having splinters to taking a home dog on the money line, and you're getting points. You calm yourself down. And what have you got in that coffee mug, Max? We're taking the home dog here.
Yeah, listen, it's a good number to take Tulane at, especially with Sean Hightower coming off a 1-for-9 shooting game. And I think that it's going to really come down to what you can get consistently out of Nick Thomas, a Norfolk State transfer. What have we seen from Christian Thompson and KJ Lawson? They can consistently get you buckets. They can consistently defend, rebound the basketball, and play good defense. I think that's going to be the key to Tulane's game tonight, how they guard the perimeter players for Tulane, especially Nate Pierre-Louis. I think that with the defensive pressure and philosophy that Coach Ron Hunter brings from Georgia State to Tulane, I think that's a wonderful combination with the amount of talent and the kind of personnel that he has. I look for KJ Lawson to have a dominant game in this game. I'm looking actually to play his player props tonight specifically in this game. So nothing for a side or total, but I am looking to hit some KJ Lawson player props.
Love that. Player props, money line, home dog. Love that. Now we've got another home dog, but it's only -2. It's Providence -2. Going to St. John's. For some reason, I love the road team here, Max. -2 seems absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I think that I agree with you there. I think that there's some injury concerns with Mustafa Heron for St. John's, although we've seen St. John's play quite well without him in the lineup, because when you got guys like LJ Figueroa and Rasheem Dunn, the Cleveland State transfer, you got guys that can play and play with tempo. And what we've learned about the St. John's team from watching them is that they never give up. They could be down 17, they could be up 17. You get the same intensity, the same defensive pressure. But I will say this. What has Providence been doing well? Well, they've been feeding Nate Watson the ball. They're getting Malik White into the starting lineup, getting him some minutes. Alpha Diallo's acting like Alpha Diallo instead of a beta sitting on the bench in crunch time. I think that this team is coming together the right way. They put Luwani Pimpkins on the bench. I like this team better on the road. I think that this is a rock'em sock'em fight tonight. I look at Providence also, but I'm not making an official play on it.
Okay, you like the road favourite, Johnny, at -2. Seems skinny. Seems they win by more.
Yeah, St. John's 2-9 on the season, 2 wins against DePaul. Now going to be down Mustafa Heron in this game. And look, again, when you take a look at Providence, they are able to play defense, not so much on the St. John's end of it. I think when you take a look at both of these teams on offense, they do struggle a little bit, but I just trust Providence a little bit more. This game also not one of those bigger environments. A lot of times you can say, hey, St. John's going to be in the Garden tonight. It's going to be a big, exciting environment for the kids. They're playing in Jamaica Queens, Carnesecca Arena. Don't know how hyped the crowd is going to be. Heck, might even have more Providence people down there cheering for St. John's for the season they're having. Providence, the only way to go in this game for me, Flash.
Okay, let me just take my gear stick and take it out of 4th and put it into 5th, because the mid-major madness, you two both have stars in your eyes, like you're going out with film stars. I'm going to come with you first, Donnie. Loyola Chicago, giving up 8 on the road against Evansville.
Yeah, when you take a look at Loyola Chicago, losers of 3 of 5. I mean, squeaking out games against Valpo by 2 points. This isn't the Loyola Chicago that we're used to with Sister Jean on the sideline and running wild up and down. This isn't. Look, they're playing still good defense, which is always the bedrock. If you want a team and you want to back a team, the first thing I always look at is how well are they playing defense? Are they giving up tempo? Are they stopping guys from the 2-point range? How do they do from 3-point shots? Evansville stinks. So if we're looking at Loyola tonight for finally a get-right game, which they can actually win, take control, feel good about themselves heading into Arch Madness, this is the game that you need to do it, because when you take a look at Evansville's side, stink. They don't play well. They fired their head coach. They had a lot of turmoil. Their best player is still sitting out. So until DeAndre Williams comes back for Evansville, they're just not bettable to me. You're taking a look at the worst offensive team in the conference in Evansville, who is now starting to slow it down after Walter McCarty was ejected as head coach and suspended. That's not a good setup for Loyola. They should be able to do whatever they want. This has to be a get-right game. Loyola or nobody in this game for me. I can't back Evansville here.
Yeah, Max, but the 8 will put people off, but this looks like a double-figure win, surely.
Yeah, absolutely. What we've seen from Evansville, regardless of who is on the court, is that they're not a team that you really want to be betting against when they're a 12.5, 13 to 14 point underdog. I think at this number, this is a number that you buy on, and this is another situation where you want to see what happens early, and then you want to have an opportunity to try and hedge out if you lose that first bet. I think that when we look at Loyola Chicago, what have we seen? An emphasis on getting inside, letting Cameron Krutwig handle the ball, letting the tempo come to them. I think that in this Evansville game, this is a team that can score the basketball when they're having one of their nights. KJ Riley and Josh Hall, Sam Cunliffe, these are guys that can score the ball. I don't think that they're going to have that kind of success because what have I seen? A lack of consistency. This is a game that I already have an official play on. I'm on the under 128.5 at minus 111. I think that Donnie's right. This is going to be a game where Evansville struggles to score. I think that Loyola Chicago definitely has shown an ability to get to 70, but I do not think that they need to or will have to get there tonight. By my numbers, this is a game that struggles to get over 124, 4.5 points of value when I bet it, meaning that that's a play that I'll make official for the show.
Okay, under 128.5 for Max at minus 111. Seems like a bit of a gift because Evansville, wow, they are so bad. But you want a spread at 8 in the last game. Then George Mason on the road to VCU, and VCU have got to give up 14 points, Max.
Yeah, this is an interesting spot for VCU. It seems like a big number, but George Mason, what we've seen from them is that they have trouble on the road. They're having some injury issues, but that just puts a lot more emphasis on Javon Green and Jordan Miller to step up, play minutes, and be effective. I think that if VCU gets their pressure and their pace and tempo, that could cause some problems for George Mason. This is a VCU team where I'm more looking towards a team total over, because what have we seen in the past 7 or so games? They haven't gone and scored under 73 points in any of those games, and we're not talking about any games that involved overtime either. I think that VCU is going to be able to get up and down the floor on George Mason tonight. It's going to be really important for Jamal Hartwell III to really step up and get out of his freshman slump, which he has been in. I call him the reincarnation of Otis Livingston, and he needs to goddamn act like it if they want to stay in this game. Because if you're relying on Xavier Johnson and Jonathan Oduro to help facilitate the offense and contribute from a production standpoint, that's not going to happen. I think that VCU could run away with this game, and I look at making a play on them first half if I can get better than 7.5.
Okay, better than 7.5 first half. VCU. Donnie, let me take it. I don't think you ever go with a team that's giving up 14. It's just about the W, surely.
No, see, look, I'm with Max here, and I don't even care about the 7.5 in the first half, Max. This is a double-digit winner in the first half for VCU. I've bet VCU quite a bit in the first half. Here's what we like, right? You're going in, you're talking about a road environment. George Mason loses of 6 of 7. You had a get-right game already for VCU, get the bad taste out of their mouth versus Rhode Island. Versus a Rhode Island-type team, VCU can't really influence that game and say, you know what, we're just tougher, we're faster, we're quicker. Rhode Island can match that. George Mason can't match that. They're a little bit soft. So if you're going to get turnovers in the first half, which we know VCU can get out of George Mason, we know that George Mason doesn't defend the three-point line. VCU is going to be chucking. This has disaster written all over it for George Mason in the first half. It's one of those games I can easily see, Max, 35-23 at the half. I think they get the full game cover as well at minus 14, but there's no doubt in my mind VCU will be up double digits at the half in this game. I like full game. Love the first half here. 7.5, 8s are on the board right now. I think they win it by 10 or more. 35-23 the first half. VCU gets this one done.
All right, Flash.
I
guess we got to make that official.
You got to. And the thing is,
put it on the board.
It's
VCU by double digits in the first half, Flash.
We go to mid-major, and all of a sudden, Donnie just like someone, like a flower, they've just put water on him, and he's just sprouting. He's gone bonkers. He's budding all over the place. But we're going to move on. Richmond, another road favourite, giving up 4.5 at LaSalle. Donnie, you're on a roll. Don't let me put that pin in your balloon.
No, these are the fun games, man. Especially, look, I'm just outside the city. This game's going to take place in Olney, just inside the city limits of Philadelphia. This is a good one here. Now, when you take a look at Richmond, we do know they're the better team. It is still hard to get road wins, and finally, LaSalle actually got a win. But they got the win against St. Joseph's. I mean, come on. Does that even count at this point in Atlantic 10 play? When we take a look at Richmond, back-to-back wins over George Washington Fordham. You say, Donnie, the George Washington Fordham, everybody can beat those teams. But you're also getting back Francis, who has a game under his belt. That's going to be key. I think the shots are going to fall for Richmond in this game. I usually like to play home teams, but when you take a look at LaSalle, they want to pressure you. They want to turn it over. But Richmond doesn't turn the basketball over. So if a team that expects to get turnovers and points off turnovers when the other team's not going to turn it over, then we flip it to see what LaSalle actually does well on defense outside of turning people over. It's nothing. They give up the three-pointer, 12th in the conference at 36%. They defended 52% inside the arc. If Richmond plays its average ball game tonight, they go on the road here at Tom Gola Arena, get this victory, and get out of here. I like Richmond here, Flash.
Max, take this game away, and then I'm going to need a break because Donnie's going bonkers.
Listen, I agree with Donnie from a Richmond perspective on the side. When you look at Blake Francis, I will say this. Grant Golden, while Blake Francis was out, was a lot more part of the offense. And already with that first game back, we've seen his offensive production completely go back to where it was before he got injured. I think that can play into their hands and against them depending on the matchup. But tonight, in this matchup, I think that it's going to be really about Richmond's perimeter defense that's going to be at the forefront. I think that Richmond has great perimeter defenders in Nick Sherrard. Gilliard at the point guard spot is going to use the clock, run very good half-court offense. And I think that when you look at Nathan Kao, the Canadian, my fellow Patriot, I think that he's going to be the guy that's going to have the most advantage. I think that against Chisholm, he's going to be able to have to stick it to him. I think that they're going to have to do a good job on the glass. I think that Richmond really frustrates LaSalle. I think that LaSalle struggles to get to 60 points. I think Richmond wins this game by double digits, and I think this game stays under. But for show purposes, I'm going to take the under for I'm going to take the under 140 for show purposes and make it official.
Okay, we've got Max and we've got Donnie both thinking that Richmond can cover the 4.5. But Max goes a little bit higher and says double digits. Let me just take a breather. There's a poker tournament on Saturday the 15th of February. And let's have Lee Martin to tell us all about it, please, Rafa.
Hey guys, Lee Martin here. On Saturday, February 15th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, SBR is hosting a poker charity tournament to raise awareness about Angelman syndrome, or AS. AS is a rare disorder that currently has no cure. Symptoms include developmental delays, no or minimal use of words, seizures, and a few other serious conditions. To take part in the event, reserve a seat by logging into the SBR Poker client and buy into the event with 200 bet points. For each buy-in made, SBR will donate $20 to cureangelman.org. If you're curious if this is a legitimate charity, know that this is SBR's 6th year running this tournament. SBR will also provide a list of donors as well as an invoice of payment to the charity once the event concludes. Over here at SBR, we have members of our Forum family that have been directly affected by this syndrome. Our goal is to raise more awareness and help drive fundraising to support research and an eventual cure for Angelman syndrome. We hope for an even greater turnout this year, so please spread the word to friends, family, and anyone else who is willing to participate in the event. I'll see you then.
Thanks, Lee. I'm looking forward to that on Saturday night. It'll be poker, it'll be NCAA, it'll be NBA, it'll be NHL, it'll be a little bit of soccer from Europe. I think I've got a busy weekend ahead of me, lads, but let's get back to tonight. Indiana State on the road, getting 6 at Bradley, Donnie.
Oh, here we go. Another one. Mid-major action here. Now, who was with me on Sunday watching the game and cheering on Elijah Childs back for his 19-9 performance? How about Flash having a broken shooting finger coming back and saying, you know what? I'm the best player on this team. Give me my 19-9. Let's move on. I always like to look at a team that first game back and say, you know what, Flash? I can't bet it until I see him get back into the lineup, see what he can do. He looked fantastic, and that's going to play off tonight. When we take a look at Bradley, what they do really well, playing at home. They have it. Carver Arena. It's a pretty nice arena to play into, and they pack the house. If we take a look at some styles that make some fights here, you want Bradley to score down low. The problem with that is 54%, 55% is what they do. Opposite side, Indiana State, a decent defensive team. But the one thing we're looking at from Bradley on defense when you look at the mid-majors is how well they defend the three-point line. Now, look, you can take a lot of shots from Bradley at the three-point line. 10th in conference at actually chasing you off it. But how about this, Flash? Number 1 in the conference at percentage. 30%. Bradley's going to play defense. Bradley's got their alpha dog back, as Max likes to say. Bradley is the play here.
Bradley is the play. I fancy an under as well coming out of your mouth, Max.
No, not on this one yet, Flash. This is a game where I'd actually be looking towards the over. It's not going to be a play yet, but I agree 100% with Donnie. This is a play that I've already bet on the overnight lines. I'll make official for the show. This is a spot where Bradley is going to be able to use the combinations of Koch Bar and Daryl Kingsby. They're going to be able to have an advantage on the glass. I expect this Bradley team to do a great job of defending the three-point line. They're going to definitely have to improve their three-point shooting. That was 1 for 11 versus Evansville, but they did get to the line 24 times, making 18 free throws. This is a team that I think can really frustrate you and stop you from penetrating the bucket, keep you out on the perimeter. This is a team that's fundamentally sound, a former tournament team, experienced, upperclassmen, has revenge versus Indiana State, losing by double digits to them on the Sycamores floor. I think Nate Kennel is the guy tonight. He goes off for at least 15 points, and Bradley gets a cover and revenge.
Yeah.
Well, we've even got a bit of cheering in the background from Donnie as well. Donnie, I'm going to come to you. Drake going to Missouri, and they're only getting 2. So again, it's like a pick'em.
Yeah, Missouri State, a little MVC action here. We take a look at 2 teams going in the same direction, but that same direction is the wrong direction. We take a look at Drake, losers of 3 of 4, Missouri State, losers of 4 of 5 games. I don't have a great feel for this game. It's one of those more of a coin flip type. Drake likes to score inside of the inside of 3-point range, 55%, number 1 in the conference at taking it to the rack. The thing is that it's 46% of the defense comes from Missouri State inside. So styles make fights in this one. I don't have a huge edge in this game, but also one thing when we take a look at Drake on the defensive end, really good at defense inside 2-point range, 10th in the conference, only giving up 42% of their points from inside. So if the 3 ball goes down for Missouri State, they got a really good shot. But in this one, I like to give opinions in the mid-majors. I don't have a great opinion on this one, Flash.
There you go. Back to your old self, Donnie. Get back on that fence. You've been off it too long. You were getting over-enthusiastic. Max, what about yourself, you nose whistler?
Yeah, I think that this is going to be a real interesting matchup once again for the front court of Liam Robbins and Jonah Jackson versus Tulio Da Silva and Gage Prim. I think that Gage Prim and Tulio Da Silva, they have a physicality advantage, but I think that when it comes down to it, Liam Robbins and Jonah Jackson can score the basketball more frequently and from different levels. I think that's going to come down to point guard play. I look for DJ Wilkins to really step up, stand out, and be the difference maker in this game. And this is another game where I think that it's going to be a little bit more up-tempo. I think that it's going to resemble the first game. I think that when you look at that game, it was a very close win for Drake, only winning by 2, but that total did go over 7.5 points. So seeing that total adjusted to 4 points above what it was on the closing line the first game makes me think that the odds makers are just trying to really mind blank me, and I think that I'll be looking at the over. But from a side perspective and from an official pick perspective, I think that Drake is able to once again beat Missouri State, and I think they're able to do it on their home floor. So I'll take Drake as the small dog.
Yeah, small road dog as well. Let's kick on. We've got 6 more games to get through, so let's put the pedal to the metal. Illinois State go into Northern Iowa, and Illinois State are getting 13.5, and I nearly said 2 touchdowns, Donnie.
Yeah, I think they get busted in this game, Illinois State being them. I mean, Northern Iowa is one of my favorite teams to watch in the country. Talk about an ultra-efficient offense, a team that shoots 43% flash from conference play. Over 4 of every 10 three-pointers is going down. And when you take a look at Styles Make Fights here, they want to shoot about 40% from three-point range of their shots. That's exactly what Illinois State gives up, around that 37, 38-point range. Also, when you want to attack the rim, they shoot 53% from inside the three-point arc. And, oh, yeah, Illinois State's going to foul. Northern Iowa does get to the free throw line and shoots flash 76%. So when you're trying to cover a big line and you're at home, you want to make your free throws. I think they do that tonight. But flipping it over to Illinois State on offense, what they do really well, they turn the basketball over and they don't shoot two-point percentage shots all that well. This doesn't set up at all for Illinois State. Even though it's a huge line, I think Northern Iowa does whatever they want on offense and defense, names their number, and comes away with a victory here.
How big are they going to name that number, Max?
Well, I think that we have to also take into note that this is a big revenge situation. Illinois State was able to mount a furious comeback, being down 10 at halftime the first game in December, putting up 56 points in the second half. Northern Iowa is going to remember that. I think that Northern Iowa is a play to make in the first half because, once again, it's a revenge situation. It's a big number. I think that they cover in full game, but I want to see them cover 6.5 or 7 points before I lay that full game. Fact is, Donnie alluded to it. This is a team that makes their free throws. This is a team that hits 40% of their three-point shots. That's 6th in the nation. You have a guy by the name of TJ Burhow. TJ Burhow, he's going to be a big player for me tonight. This is a guy, Trey Burhow. This is a guy that averages 14 points a game, but he has great size. He can really back you down. He can freaking turn around on you, and he's a good passer. And then when you look at this Northern Iowa team, you know what you're going to get out of some of your younger guys, but A.J. Green is the difference maker. A.J. Green, he averages 20 points per game. He has muscles that I wish that I could get one day. Probably won't because I eat too many hamburgers. But this guy is the difference. He's grown into the role. He's really stepped up this year. And I think that A.J. Green as a player prop, in addition to taking Northern Iowa as a first half, is the way to go in this game.
Yeah, the only big problem I have about these big gaps is, like, if you're going to be 7, 8, 9, 10 up at half time, do you take your foot off the gas and just make sure that you get through the games without any injuries? Let's go to the low mid-majors. We've got 5. We're going to smash it. Now, Loyola Maryland versus American, off the boards completely earlier on. Have they come back on, Donnie? And what do you fancy?
To be honest with you, I don't know if they did come back on the board or off the board. I know we're quick on time and you don't want my opinion on this. So, Max, take it away.
Yeah, they are on the board at a number of books. Just hit the SBR link for the book that you have, and it will show you a line. I'm seeing lines up at Pinnacle. I'm seeing lines up at Heritage, 5 Dimes. So they're all over the place. So you just got to hit the SBR link, have your SBR odds page open, and then it will take you right to your sports book. With this Loyola Maryland American game, this is a revenge game. American has done a great job in conference. I think that with Mark Gasparini and Stacey Becton, that's going to be the main difference, whether or not American can cover this number. I think that when you have Santi Aldama and Golden Dyke, the 2 international recruits that we thought that was going to help Loyola Maryland win this conference, I think now we're finally seeing the dividends of that. Santi Aldama has come in and averaged double digits every game that he's played so far, the last 4. I think that he's going to be able to have advantages versus Americans' weakened and short front court. I look for Loyola Maryland to get within the number. I made an official play at +6. Let me just pull up the odds for you. And I got them at +6 and -105. This is a spot where, once again, it's a revenge situation. This is a healthy Loyola Maryland team. Andrew Kosteka is the difference maker. Add on the experienced upperclassman Kevon Scott. Too much front court play. Awesome backcourt play. Saeed Nelson's is inconsistent from the free throw line, and that could be the reason and how we cover the spread. So Loyola Maryland +6. I also made a play on the under. I think that American and Loyola Maryland are going to know what offensively each team can do. They're going to limit transition scoring opportunities. They're going to do a better job of guarding on the perimeter and limiting three-point attempts.
All right, don't go on. Jeez, I said we've got 5 games to go. This is like an hour-long show. Jeez, you talk a glass eye to sleep, Max. But we got it, and they better win now. Okay, I'm going to come to you, Donnie, because the last time I spoke to you, you was like 22. Lafayette versus Army. It's -1, the road team.
I actually lean towards Army in this one. It's as simple as the home team, I think, is going to be the better play here. When you take a look at Lafayette, yes, they shoot from three-point range. Almost 47% of their total shots come from three-point range on offense. Now, Army doesn't defend it all that well, but being on the road, a little bit different of an environment. If you're not clicking on all cylinders from three-point range, and that's what you depend on, sometimes, as we say, you live by the sword and you die by the sword. But when we take a look at Tommy Funk and the boys from Army, they do pop off of the three-point line. 2% range there, 61.5%, number 1 in the conference in scoring from two-point range. I think that's going to be the difference. Give me the home team here, Flash, with Army.
Yeah, I don't blame the home team. Before I go to Max, I've got 85 thumbs up in the chat. Press the button, ring the bell, subscribe, and we'll let you know when every single show comes on. I'm going to obviously go to Max, so I'm on 85 thumbs up now. When I come back from Max, I'll probably have 2,000. Go, Max.
All right, so with Lafayette, definitely a team that is in a situational spot where there is value on the first half. Then, by my numbers, they have a 4-point advantage on the first half. That's the play that I made. Lafayette -0.5 point, -110. I think that playing them full game is definitely a little more giving me a little more trepidation. My numbers didn't like it as much, but I will say this: Lafayette with a poor showing early on versus Lehigh at home. I think that they are able to get off the schneid early. I don't know about full game, but I do think that showing the will to come back from down 15 plus points versus Lehigh at home and only losing by 3 showed that this team is well coached and determined. I think that they come out with a more complete performance, and let's not forget this team has benefited our bankroll greatly so far this season.
They have. Let's move on. I'm going to stay with you, Max. I don't know why I'm saying this, but New Hampshire getting 16 as they go into Vermont.
Yeah, this is a spot where I look at New Hampshire at +16. I'll make an official show play. I also look towards the under, but I do think that number is going to go up, so I will wait on that. Plain and simply, this Vermont team has the offensive weapons to go, but I look at Sean Sutherland and Neil Guadarrama, excuse me for butchering that name, but these are guys that can score the basketball for New Hampshire. These are guys that can score inside, they can score out, they can make their free throws, and I think that they have good ball movement on the perimeter that's going to allow them to move around with this stout Vermont defense. What have we seen from Vermont? We've been seeing more balanced scoring from guys like Steph Smith, Everett Duncan, and Shenangu. But the fact is, if Anthony Lamb isn't leading this team in scoring and scoring 20-plus points a game, it's not a spot where I feel like I'm going to be able to find value at Vermont. I'm on New Hampshire +16.
Johnny, you like to take the points?
Yeah, I think Max is head up here. And also, Flash, this brings into your point that you brought up to even start the show here. When you take a look at teams like Vermont, if Vermont wins 100-0 tonight, Flash, you know what? They're still not getting an at-large bid. They have to win their conference. Survive in advance, win and move on, stake your claim, get the top seed in conference tournament play. That's all that matters. I like Max's look here on getting to 16.5.
Yeah, Vermont have the W. And New Hampshire, they cover getting the 16. Okay, we've got Florida, F. Austin against Texas A&M, and Florida are giving up 5.5. Donnie.
Yeah, I don't know about Florida, Flash, but we'll move on to Stephen F. Austin and Texas A&M Corpus Christi. We got a little bit of the funny juice going on in this show right now, but I think Stephen F. Austin clearly the play in this one. Better on offense, better on defense. They do enough to close out. Now, the one interesting thing here is when you look at Texas A&M Corpus Christi, they don't really rely on getting down low and scoring from inside the arc, and that's also what Stephen F. Austin does extremely well. If the three-point shots are going down, Texas A&M Corpus Christi can keep it close, but the fact is, Flash, I don't think they can keep it close. Stephen F. Austin in a runaway.
Max, I see you nodding. Is that because of the funny juice, or is that because you like the road favourite?
That's more because of the funny juice, Flash, I have to admit. But with the Stephen F. Austin game, I'm looking at it from a different perspective. I think that the first time these guys met, it was a very tense game. Texas A&M Corpus Christi covered as a 17-point road dog. Now we're seeing 9. That could be a big enough adjustment. I will say that obviously there is revenge here, but this Texas A&M Corpus Christi team has really played Stephen F. Austin tough. I'm not looking to make a play on the side. I would be leaning towards Stephen F. Austin first half and then Texas A&M Corpus Christi full game. I know people don't like that when I split my bets like that, but that's the way that I see it from a number perspective. But the play that I want to make official for the show is 9 out of 10 games that these guys have played against each other have gone over the number. When I see a number of 134 or something along those lines, that's a number that I can get behind. That's a number that I can make official for the show. What I see right now is the best line I can get is 132.5. I think that this goes over. I have this game lined at 138 to 140. So with the recent series, with the revenge situation, I think Stephen F. Austin, if they're going to be able to win by double digits, they're going to get past 70 points. I think Texas A&M Corpus Christi at least gets to 55. So, 65. So we'll see what happens, but
okay.
I'm definitely going to make Stephen F. Austin an official play.
Okay, Max, we've got one more, 21 down, 1 to go. I'm going to come to you first. Donnie, if you've got a player today, lock it, load it, and fire it at me when I come back to you. Houston Baptist getting 15.5. Abilene Christian, Max.
Yeah, plain simply, I'm going the other way. I'm taking this game over. Over 163.5 is the bet that I made. Plain simply, I don't trust this Houston Baptist team to slow down. I think the Abilene Christian is going to take advantage of being able to run up the score tonight. I think that Abilene Christian gets to maybe 90 or 100. So put it like that.
Okay, Donnie, take me away. I know there's no player today from Max. He will text out later with the hashtag March into Madness. Donnie, player today, and also the Baptist versus Christian.
Yep, Abilene Christian. Max is on it. He's on it. And again, we're here at SBRodds.com, sportsbookreview.com. Go around, check the books, because if you're not getting the college extra card and team totals on the college extra card, there are books that offer it. 89.5 is Abilene Christian's team total. I agree with them. They'll be in the, I don't even care what Houston Baptist does. Abilene Christian should be in the 90s in this one. I think that's the best way to go. And yes, Max, Flash, I'm going to go back to the Siegel Center today and say VCU by double digits, mark it down. We're not even shopping around. We're not worried about the 7.5. We're going to take it at the 8, and we're going to cash that ticket as my play of the day.
Okay, your play of the day is VCU minus 8 first half, and my play of the day is Villanova minus 5. That is the biggest worm I've seen in the 3 days of doing this show. We've got 98 thumbs up. We need 2 more. I've gone over. You boys have been absolutely brilliant. Thanks for that. 22 games. What a night we've got ahead of us. And we'll go through it all again tomorrow. Max, don't be worried about the whistle. Enjoy. And remember, them tissues, they're for your eyes to wipe your tears away. Take care, boys. So, Max and Donnie gone through 22 games. I've been Flash. This has been sportsbookreview.com. We march into madness. It's another day closer. And remember, we've got Jimmy coming up as well. Show him the love. See you soon.